Students, welcome you all on the behalf of Rahul Anand Tutorials. So as you know that I am Rahul Anand and this is somewhat on my channel whose name is actually the Rahul Anand Tutorials. So now let's begin with the very interesting topics which are often being asked in terms of your Neet, often the Aiims, often the All India pre-medical examination. So these are literally belonging from which of the chapters of your book. So these are belonging from the here, main term of the molecular basis of innate. So today we are going to study what? Today we are going to study here main term of the Griffith's experiment. So when we are talking about these terms, means what are actually the Griffith's experiment. So you have to understand the certain facts in it. So Griffith was actually whom? So he was a scientist who played an important role. As well as here when it performed the experiment with reference on what? With reference on the Streptococcus bacteria. And when we are talking about these cases, means what are actually the bacteria. So you are very clear about that. Fine. Often these are being divided on the basis of the particular broad categories. Remember about the classification of bacteria. So what are actually these? So these are classified on the basis of the rods as well as the copy. And in term, these will be often being further divided in term of what? In term of the gram-positive bacteria, then in term of the gram-negative bacteria. Often these are being further divided in term of the two broad categories. Remember, so these are actually what? So these are the aerobic so the bacteria which will perform the aerobic respiration coming under the what? The aerobic bacteria, as well as the one which is comparing as well as inhaling or either performing what kind of respiration. So these are performing the here in term of the anaerobic respiration or either coming under what? So this will be coming under the anaerobic bacteria. Remember as well as understood. Often when we are talking about the case of the bacteria, so just like here we are having many types of the bacteria. So here we are having what? So here we are having actually the Streptococcus bacteria. Often we are having what? So often we are having the mycoplasma. Then we are often having the eubacteria. Then we are often having the archaeobacteria. Then we are often having the here in term of the E. coli bacteria. Often you are very clear about that, means what are actually these name classified. Remember? So when we are talking about the case of the archaeobacteria, by the name itself it is very clear. Means what? So archaeo plus bacteria means what? Some kind of the bacteria whose existence was actually from what? So some type of the bacteria whose existence was actually from the before. So these are coming under what case? So these are coming under the archaeobacteria. Often when we are talking about the case of the E. coli, remember as well as understood. So by the name it is very clear. As well as dissectigate particularly its name, you will get the particular meaning. Such as what? So we are having the Escherichia. Then here, when of the co. So the co will be what? So the co here in term it will be the rough straight particularly. Often when we are talking about the right, so these are often specialized with reference to the special type of the name. Often in term we are having the I. So these are not the I, but these are actually what? So these are the Roman letter, particularly representing what? So these are the Roman letter which are representing what? So which are actually representing the here main of the ERA, in which the enzymes were or either the bacteria which were actually isolated. Remember as well as understood. So we have read about the archaeobacteria. Often what? Often the eubacteria. Often you are having what? So often you are having the E. coli. Then the Streptococcus bacteria playing an important role to cause what? Playing an important role to cause the pneumonia like symptoms. And when we are talking about the pneumonia, you are often very clear about that. Remember as well as understood. So we'll be understanding about now. So often when we are talking about these cases, mean in terms of what? Mean in terms of the broad kinds of the bacteria. So these are often being divided in terms of the what? In terms of the four broad categories. So these are what? So these are like this, mean in terms of the Thus, when we are talking about the case of the bacteria dividation, on the basis of what? On the basis of their shape and size. So these are often being divided in terms of what? In terms of the four broad categories. So these are what? So these are the cocci, then the bacillus, then the vibrio. Often what? Often you are having the spiral shaped bacteria. Now, so let's understand about these in terms of the detail. So when we are talking about these cases, means what are actually the here? Means what? Mean in terms of the cocci. So cocci will be particularly resembling what? So this will be particularly resembling the spherical shaped structure. Often when we are talking about these cases, means in terms of what? Mean in terms of the here. So we have read about the cocci. Then what? Then we are having the vibrio case. As well as what? As well as the bacillus case. So when we are talking about the case of the bacillus, it will be resembling actually what? So it will be particularly resembling the here. Mean in terms of what? Mean in terms of the cylindrical shaped structure. In the third, you are having what? So in the third, we are having the vibrio. So vibrio will be particularly resembling what? So it will be resembling the coma shaped structure. As well as in the last, we are having what? As well as in the last, we are having the spiral shaped structure. So by the name it is very clear. Means what? So it will be resembling what kind of the structure? Tell me. So it will be actually in the spiral shaped structure. As when we are talking about the case of the Aiims. So Aiims was actually what? So he was the scientist, played an important role. For what? Played an important role to coin the name as well as the here main term of the main term of the bacteria. So fine. So Aiims was actually whom? So he played an important role for what? Played an important role for coining the term. And what was actually the term? It was known as the bacteria. And you are very clear about that. Means what are actually the bacteria? Often these are being divided on the basis of the four broad categories as well as on the basis of their classification. We are often being dividing its cell. So these are actually being divided with reference to the here main term the cocci as well as the bacillus. Now, so when we are talking about the case of what? Of the GRIFFITH experiment. So for these, the particular bacteria which were used, so these were actually what? So these were the spiral bacteria. Fine. So these were actually what? So these are the spiral shaped bacteria. Often when we are talking about the morphological as well as the anatomical state with reference to these bacteria, so these are having what kind of the structure? So these are having the cilia as well as the flagella like structure. So these cilia as well as the flagella are playing an important role in order to carry what? In order to carry out the locomotion like symptoms. And you are very clear about that. Means what are actually the locomotion as well as the movements. Often remember means where these particularly cilia are present, such in terms of the plant cell. Often in terms of the some of the animal cells it is present as well as some of the bacteria. Often it is being present as well as when we are talking about the case of the strain. Remember, so we are often having the E. coli in which we are having the strain. So these are actually what? So these are composed as well as having the rough stain like structure. But here when we are talking about the case of the here main term of what? The GRIFFITH experiment. So we are often having the here main term of the bacteria and it was what? So it was the spiral bacteria as well as these are often having what? So these are often having the here main term of the strain, and these strain are often being further divided in term of what? In terms of the two broad categories. So these are actually what? So these are the S strain as well as the here main term of the R strain. So when we are talking about the S strain, so these are known as well as composed of what? So your S strain are composed of the smooth mucus of what? So these S strain are composed of the smooth mucus coat of polysaccharide as well as when we are talking about the case of what are actually these polysaccharide. Remember, so we are having the carbohydrate oftenly being divided in terms of the three broad categories. So these are what? So these are the monosaccharide, then what? Then the polysaccharide, then what? Then the oligosaccharide. So the carbohydrate which could be hydrolyzed as well as what? So the carbohydrate which could be broken down as well as hydrolyzed in terms of what? In terms of no more or either what? 2 to 10 units of the simpler sugar coming under what case? So it will be coming under the here in terms of the monosaccharide. Fine. As well as after that you are having the oligosaccharide. So oligosaccharide is what? So the carbohydrate which could be hydrolyzed with reference to what? With reference to more than 10 units of the what? It will be coming under the polysaccharide. Thus, when we are talking about the case of the Aiims, so your Aiims played an important role for what? So your Aiims played an important role to coin the term which is actually known as what? Which is actually known as the here main term of the bacteria. Often when we are talking about the another names as well as the cases, so we are having what? So we are having the spirally coiled bacteria. So for the experiment of what? Of the GRIFFITH experiment, the here main term of the spirally coiled bacteria which was being used. As well as these are often having what kind of the structure as well as the resemblance. Remember, so these are having the flagella like structure. So these flagella are playing important role for what? So these flagella are playing an important role to carry out the course of the locomotion as well as movement. Remember, as well as understood. So you are very clear about that. Often these are playing important role for what? Often these are playing important role for the defensive as well as what? As well as the offensive mechanism. Now, so when we are talking about this case in terms of the spirally coiled bacteria, so you have to understand the specialized terms in it, such as what? So this we are having the strain-like structure. So the strain of the bacteria is particularly being divided with reference to what? With reference to the two broad categories. So these are actually what? So these are the S strain as well as the here main term of the R strain. Find here. Now, so when we are talking about the S strain, so these are actually what? So these are composed of the, tell me. So your S strain is composed of the smooth mucus coat of what? So smooth mucus coat of the polysaccharide. As well as when we are talking about the case of the polysaccharide, remember? So polysaccharide are what? So the carbohydrate which could be hydrolyzed into what? So the carbohydrate which could be hydrolyzed into the 2 to 10 units of the simpler sugar or what? Or the here main term the carbohydrate. So it will be coming under what case? So it will be coming under your polysaccharide case. Remember, so these are what? So these are nothing else but the form of the carbohydrate as well as when we are talking about the case of the carbohydrate, remember? So these are what? So these are the optically active what? So the carbohydrates are the optically active polyhydroxyaldehyde as well as what? As well as the polyhydroxyketone, often being further divided in terms of the three broad categories. Remember? So what are these? So these are the monosaccharide. Then what? Then the polysaccharide. Then in the last you are having the oligosaccharide. But when you are caring as well as understanding means what are actually the monosaccharide? Means what? So the carbohydrate which could not be hydrolyzed into the simpler sugar, coming under what case? So it will be coming under the monosaccharide case. After that you are having the polysaccharide. So polysaccharide means what? So the carbohydrate which could be hydrolyzed into what? Into the 2 to 10 units of the monosaccharide. Coming under what case? So it will be coming under your polysaccharide. Remember? So you are often having here in the term of the polysaccharide. And in the third we are having the oligosaccharide. Means what? So the carbohydrate which can be hydrolyzed into what? Into the here. Then in term of what? Tell me. Into more than 10 units of the monosaccharide. Coming under what case? Or either the simpler sugar. So it will be coming under your here in term of the oligosaccharide case. Now, as well as when we are talking about these cases in term of what? In term of the acid stream. So these are often having what? So these are having the wider range of the resistance with reference to what? With reference to the immune system. As well as when we are talking about what are actually the immune system, remember? So the branch of science in which we deal about what? So the branch of science in which we deal about the here built of the immune system, directly proportional as well as known as what? So these are known as the immunology. Often who was actually the scientist played an important role to discover as well as demonstrate this in terms of the immunology. So he was what? So he was actually the Edward Jenner. And when we particularly go in terms of what? In terms of the brief means what are actually the immune system. So understood? So our body is having the defense mechanism in order to protect from what? In order to protect from the hazardous foreign agent as well as what? As well as the pathogen agent, which are literally playing an important role to cause what? So which are literally playing an important role to cause the different as well as the vital symptoms of the diseases. And you are very clear about that means what are actually the diseases. Remember? So diseases are what? So any type of the discomfort literally playing an important role to cause what? To cause the hazardous symptoms in terms of what? In terms of our body. Coming under what case? So it will be coming under your here. In terms of what? In terms of the disease case. So you understood? So what are actually the immune system? Often when we are talking about the case of the acid strain. So these are particularly having what? So these are having the resistance with reference to the what? With reference to the immune system. And what are actually the immune system? Now, so let's understand about these means what are actually the R strain. But when we are talking about the case of the R strain, so these are not having what? So these are not having the resistance with reference to the immune system. Of course, understood. And what are actually the immune system? Very clear. After that, you are often having what? After that, when we are talking about the coat, so here in terms of what? In terms of the acid strain, we are having what kind of the coat? So it was the smooth mucus coat of the polysaccharide, remember? But in the case of the R strain, we are having what? So we are having the deficiency with reference to the coat. Of course, as well as when we are talking about the case of what? In terms of these, in terms of the acid strain, so these will be having what? So this will be not having, or either these are having the scarcity of what? Of the coat, as like we are having the coat in terms of the acid strain. So these are composed of what things? So these are composed of the smooth mucus coat of the polysaccharide. And you are very clear about that means what are actually the polysaccharide. Of course. And as well as when we are talking about these cases, in terms of what? In terms of the R strain. So these are often not having what? So these are not having the resistance with reference to the immune system. Now, so very clearly understood what are actually the role of this strain. Now, let's proceed with reference to what? With reference to the Griffith's experiment reason. So he played an important role as well as he particularly selected the mouse. Remember? So overall, when we are particularly doing certain types of the experiment, so we particularly start with reference to the microorganisms, of course, in terms of what? In terms of the smallest level, such as primarily we'll be doing the experiment with reference to the mouse or either the mice, and after that the level will be promoted with reference to what? With reference to the cow as well as the goat, of course, as well as in term we'll be often having the another things such as the rabbits as well as what? As well as the another such as the squirrel. But literally when the level promoted with reference to what? So we'll be getting the symptoms as well as what? The experiment will be done with reference to whom or either which of the organisms. So it will be promoted with reference to what? With reference to the level of the monkey. Why is it so? This is due to because the monkey is holding the amount of the ratio which are just similar in terms of what? In terms of the morphological state as well as what? As well as the anatomical state, just like similar to what? Just like similar to the human beings, and particularly all the medicines or either the experiment which are literally performed primarily on the basis of what? So these are particularly being performed with reference for the benefit of the human being, such as in terms of the medicine, of course, as well as in terms of the certain experiment. Fine. So here we have selected what? So here in down for the Grafter's experiment. Grafter's particularly selected what? So he selected the mouse for his experiment. So the mouse which was injected with reference to what? With reference to the assistant, particularly died with reference to what? So the